They were a power couple chasing their destiny.
She's a go-getter just like him.
They were just a beautifully happy couple.
But their life goes up in smoke after an unthinkable crime.
Just a big explosion.
It was enough to knock the building off of its foundation.
He died instantly.
When I received that phone call, your brother is dead, I never thought, a bomb? Who does that?
The search for answers sends detectives deep into a shadowy world where nothing is what it seems.
Someone had stolen his identity.
He gets this plastic surgery and basically changes his face.
He was involved with men and women.
The dynamic of it is really, really crazy.
It had all the elements of a movie.
A movie that would save its most shocking twist for last.
Nobody expected who was really behind this.
Let's just open up your little gift and, take a look at what I sent you.
February 15th, 2000. It's a chilly Friday night in Chicago, Illinois, and police are bracing themselves for a busy weekend shift.
Chicago has a reputation for crime, particularly shootings and murders.
This is something that happens in Chicago quite frequently.
But when multiple calls come in from a South Side neighborhood at 10:45 p.m., what panicked residents report is anything but ordinary.
Chicago emergency. Yeah, there seems to be like an explosion, a house on fire next to us.
There was a huge blast, and it caused havoc.
Do you know if there's anyone inside the house? I'm not sure.
We didn't know what happened. We just knew it was an explosion.
When first responders arrive on the scene minutes later, they find neighbors in shock and an unassuming townhouse in ruins.
There's glass everywhere, holes in the wall.
It literally blew part of the front of the house off.
Paramedics also locate a badly burned man on the sidewalk outside.
He sustained major life-threatening injuries.
Sir, what's your name?
Adam.
Adam what? What's your last name, man?
Adam Butler.
He was tossed out of the building.
But according to Adam, he isn't the only victim of the blast.
Marcus is still inside.
Sir, calm down.
Marcus is still inside.
Sir, calm down. The fire department's gonna get him.
He was trying to sit up, and they was like, well, let's just get you to the hospital.
As paramedics tend to Adam, firefighters enter the smoke-filled home.
Hey, he's over here.
Through the haze, they locate the second victim, 37-year-old Marcus Toney.
He was dead instantly when it happened. The explosion cut his legs off completely. He was basically torn apart.
Chicago native Marcus Toney was raised by a loving single mother who fostered a close relationship between her 3 children.
We're all 18 months apart, so basically we did everything together. We had our chicken pox together. We had our tonsils removed together. We went to sleepaway camp together. We went to the family picnics. We had fun.
Though Marcus's mother sometimes struggled financially, she made sure her children lacked for nothing.
You know, if she gave us a pie, of course, it's 3 kids. My sister would split that pie in 3. Even though we could have made 6 slices, we made 3 big slices. So we all got a piece of the pie.
She was a, CPA, living off a decent salary, but of course had to stretch it between 3 kids and herself.
Marcus's mother's knack for money management was a skill she made sure to pass on to her children.
My mother being a CPA, everything revolves around numbers. So financial literacy was a part of us growing up.
Marcus took his mother's lessons to heart, and after high school, he took a steady job in order to help out with the bills.
Marcus was pretty conservative as a spender. He was a working man.
But I gotta get up out of here. It's time for me to go to work.
That's my boy. Marcus Toney was employed as a janitor for the junior colleges of Chicago.
He works very hard, 9 to 5. You can rely on him.
He had a great relationship even with the college president, his co-workers, all the different professors at the college.
Mopping floors also provided Marcus the finances to fund other, larger ambitions.
He bought and renovated houses that he would use as rental property or to sell.
Over the years, he accumulated about 6 different properties.
He wasn't out blowing his money on the weekends. He put it back into his properties.
Stable and successful, by his early 30s, Marcus was an obvious catch.
Women really seemed to take to Marcus and really loved being around him. He had such a great personality. He was young, responsible, hardworking.
But none of his relationships seemed to last until he met 36-year-old Lisa Powell in 1994.
He was really so impressed with her. You know, she was a nice-looking lady. She presented herself very well.
From the moment they first crossed paths, Marcus was smitten.
She was just a woman of class, very professional, came from an extremely good family.
Like Marcus, Lisa had ambition.
She'd worked her way up, really worked hard to get to where she was, to a high position with a telephone company.
She had a really nice corporate job, was making a six-figure salary. She had it all together. So Marcus did not feel that he had to, worry about taking care of her. He loved that she had something else to bring to the table.
Determined to win Lisa's affection, Marcus put every effort into courting her.
They end up having a whirlwind of fun, all the traveling, the trips, the dinners.
Very quickly, they were an item.
Not only did their passion burn bright, Marcus and Lisa were determined to make it last.
He felt like she was his soulmate. His one and only true love. Friends and family had never seen Marcus like this. They could tell that he was really taken with her. And Lisa was head over heels in love with Marcus.
The relationship, it kind of escalated really fast. And next thing you know, my brother was like, I'm getting married.
Marcus's family welcomed Lisa with open arms.
I fell in love with her. We spent a lot of time doing family things together, traveling, going out to dinner. We would sit down in the family room and just laugh.
6 years into their marriage, Marcus and Lisa seemed as in love as the day they met.
They had a great relationship. She loved him. He loved her in return.
But now, a sudden explosion has shattered everything the couple held dear.
It was a huge blast, and Marcus was killed instantly.
The explosion was strong enough to knock the building off of its foundation. So it actually literally moved the house over several feet.
What caused this massive explosion? As firefighters sift through the wreckage, they make a startling discovery.
I think we got something right here.
When they searched the scene, they found a live pipe bomb.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get everybody out.
Ambitious, successful, and devoted to one another, Lisa and Marcus Toney seemed to be a perfect match.
They were happy just being with each other.
But on February 15th, 2000, their marriage and Marcus's life has just come to a horrible end.
There was a loud explosion, and Marcus Toney suffered a horrendous injuries and a terrible death.
With smoke and debris still lingering in the air, firefighters make a shocking discovery, one that suggests the explosion that killed Marcus was no accident.
Firefighters at the scene were shocked to find an unexploded bomb. They weren't sure what caused the first blast, but now it's clear there was foul play involved.
They didn't know if this device was going to go off and it was going to kill somebody.
Firefighters evacuate the building, and within minutes, the Cook County Bomb Squad arrives on the scene, working carefully to remove the device.
It's a dangerous thing because you want to be careful it doesn't go off while you're standing there.
They had to come and take the bomb out, clear the whole neighborhood.
With the bomb defused and the coast now clear, agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms join forces with Chicago police detectives to process the scene.
I'm a certified explosive specialist with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I've been with them for approximately 30 years. In that time, I've investigated hundreds of bombings. And with this being an improvised explosive device and a fatal bombing, our expertise was requested by the City of Chicago Police Department.
Examining the damage, investigators determine that they are dealing with a powerful device.
It was a huge pipe bomb.
Large enough to do damage in case the person wasn't standing close enough to the device.
The resulting explosion had been more than enough to kill Marcus instantly.
One of the end caps from the pipe bomb went through his heart, fatally throwing him across the room and up against the front wall where we found him.
I hadn't seen anything like that since I served in Vietnam.
It was absolutely horrible what was done to Marcus Toney. Absolutely horrible. Nobody deserved that. Nobody.
How had these two deadly devices ended up in Marcus's home?
I think they were building it and it blew up. It's possible.
It's a very dangerous process to make a pipe bomb. People that make homemade pipe bombs often set them off unexpectedly. I wouldn't have been shocked if it was somebody that did blow himself up.
We didn't know if it was gang guys building a bomb or something like that. We had no idea.
However, as they combed through the rubble, investigators begin to form another theory.
They found charred wrapping paper and pieces of cardboard box.
It appeared to be a VCR box.
Detectives also find a shipping company delivery label with Marcus's name and address on it.
Detectives were wondering if these bombs could have been sent to Marcus, wrapped up inside this VCR box.
A team of officers hurries to the shipping company's nearest office.
We were trying to find out if this went through their system and they actually delivered it.
But the company had no record of ever shipping or delivering the package.
Somebody merely went to one of the delivery company's outposts and grabbed labels.
It didn't exist at all. It was all fake.
Someone must have placed the bomb on Marcus's doorstep, disguised as a delivery.
It was pretty clear that this was an intentional homicide.
There was a lot of planning involved, not only the construction of the device, but the delivery of the device, too.
But who would commit such a heinous crime? And why?
We didn't know if this was just a random act. We didn't know if he was targeted.
Canvassing the neighborhood produces no clues about the mystery bomber's identity.
It had to be placed on his doorstep and at a time when he was coming home, so it wouldn't be sitting out there all day.
However, Marcus's neighbors do identify someone who might know more.
Did Mr. Toney have any enemies, anything like that?
Not that I know of, but I would ask his wife. She would know.
His wife? Does she live here too?
No, they're separated.
At the time that he was killed, Marcus had moved out of the family home and was trying to live independently.
It was a surprise to me that they were separating, that everyone was under the impression that they had a great relationship, but they decided that they were going to separate for a while. You know, everything looks beautiful on the outside.
After speaking with Marcus's neighbors, police tracked down his estranged wife, Lisa, at her parents' house.
Word had already spread to her through family and friends, and she was just devastated.
Lisa was so hurt by his death.
She broke down and was crying.
Oh, this is terrible for you, but we need your help.
Whatever I can do.
Can you think of anyone who would want to hurt Marcus?
God, no. Everybody loved him.
Lisa had no idea who would kill him in such a brutal way.
Marcus Toney was a straight guy, a hard worker.
Marcus didn't have any enemies.
So why were you two separated?
We were just going through a rough patch, you know, like all couples do.
She said they were separated, but Marcus was the love of her life, and she had planned to get back with him.
So to be clear, you had nothing to do with the explosion at his house tonight.
What? God, no. I love him.
Wrapping up their interview, detectives feel confident Lisa isn't responsible.
Whoever did this either had knowledge of how to build a complex explosive device or be connected to someone who did.
She didn't fit the profile.
Next, detectives turn to Marcus's family, who were still coming to grips with his death.
I couldn't believe my brother is gone. You know, he was attached to my hip, and it was like when he died, I died.
We're so sorry for your loss.
We just want to help you catch whoever did this.
Marcus's sisters bent over backwards just trying to give us anything, even if they were telling us this probably means nothing, but we want you to know it.
Marcus's family confirms much of what Lisa told police, including that the couple was headed for reconciliation.
According to his sisters, Marcus and Lisa were still close. They would still talk to each other. They had disagreements, but they tended to make up again.
I really thought that they would get back together.
But their story differs from Lisa's in one notable way.
Did your brother have any enemies?
Well, there's the fraud thing.
Marcus Toney, for some time, had been the victim of identity theft. He had credit cards taken out in his name. He had cars purchased in his name.
He received a phone call from a finance company, and they were inquiring, hey, you haven't made a payment on this vehicle or that vehicle. My brother didn't have either vehicle.
He was beside himself. This is somebody that paid every one of their bills on time. He was actually quite fanatical about that, and that's the way he was raised.
He did not overspend. He did not overlive his income. He was so thrown aback with the creditors informing him, we have a $10,000 bill here, we have a $15,000 bill here.
He is just overwhelmed because he cannot imagine who is racking up debt in his name.
They said, you're in the hole like 130,000. He says, what are you talking about?
According to his family, Marcus was determined to uncover the identity of the crook who had targeted him.
He's thinking, who is out here pretending to be Marcus?
But before he could, a mysterious package arrived on his doorstep.
In January, he gets a package in the mail, and he's very suspicious of it. He didn't order anything.
He was very suspicious of the package, but it had his name on it.
Marcus Toney removed the delivery label from the package, and when we were searching the house, I found that delivery label.
He called and verified the return address. It was a fictitious address.
Keep in mind, he has had his identity stolen, and someone is out there pretending to be him. So he had more reason to be suspicious than not.
He refused to open it. He let the box just kind of sit and linger.
But it didn't linger for long. Marcus's family states that after letting the package sit unopened for a couple of days, he decided to take it to a nearby police station.
My brother took the package to the police station on 111th Street.
Which raises a terrifying possibility.
Had this bomber sent multiple devices? And if so, was another bomb sitting at the station waiting to explode?
Hours after a bomb killed 37-year-old Marcus Toney and gravely injured his friend Adam Butler, detectives in Chicago, Illinois are racing to a local police precinct, fearing there could be another explosion.
A few weeks before his death, Marcus had apparently gotten a mysterious package in the mail.
The package had arrived beautifully gift wrapped, but he had his suspicions.
Marcus was suspicious enough to take that box to the police department.
Now detectives worried there could have been another bomb out there, sitting in the precinct's evidence room.
At the station, detectives speak with the precinct's desk sergeant, who adds another wrinkle to this increasingly bizarre case.
Yeah, he came by with the package a couple weeks ago.
He explained to the desk sergeant that I've been the victim of identity theft.
Something is just not right about this package. He thinks it definitely has something to do with this whole debt thing.
The desk sergeant said, call your credit card company and see what they want you to do with it.
Where's the package now? I don't know. Took it with him.
The police sent him away, and Marcus took the package home, and it killed him.
Though the situation is tragic, investigators are relieved to know there's not a second explosive device somewhere in the station.
Had it gone off in the police station, it would have been considered a terrorist act.
With the threat of another bomb defused, detectives can't help but think, could Marcus have been right?
Maybe whoever had stolen Marcus's identity could also be the bomber.
In an attempt to identify the thief, detectives begin digging into Marcus's credit history and soon find themselves in unfamiliar territory.
In 2000, identity theft was not a prevalent thing.
Credit card fraud and identity theft was in its embryonic stages.
But before they get very far, doctors call with good news about Marcus's friend Adam.
He almost lost his life too, but he survived.
He had a lot of burns on his body. He's very lucky.
Now able to speak to detectives, Adam is clearly distraught over his friend's death.
My brother never had a little brother, so he became his little brother. He mentored him.
Should have been me.
What do you mean?
I told him to open that box.
Investigators ask Adam if he has any idea who might have sent the package. Adam isn't sure, but he does believe there is a connection between the man who stole Marcus's identity and Marcus and Lisa's recent separation.
Marcus suspected that Lisa may have been cheating on him.
He puts two and two together. This person has access to my wife. He probably has access to a lot of my information. I wonder if this is the reason my credit's going bad.
Adam says that just days after Marcus formulated this theory, the mysterious package arrived on his doorstep.
Wrapped in pretty paper and everything like that. He didn't want to open it.
According to Adam, the package was only the beginning.
He explained to me how Marcus had contacted him about receiving voicemails.
He gets these phone calls taunting him about, why haven't you opened the package,
Adam says that on February 15th, 2000, almost a month after he initially received it, Marcus decided to open the package.
He opens up the wrapping paper a little bit and sees it's a VCR box.
And all these things are going through his head at that time. What's in the VCR? Is there a tape in the VCR?
Why didn't he just want to open it?
He was afraid of what he might find inside.
With his wife being estranged, he fully assumes that she's seeing other men.
It might be Lisa and the boyfriend and a sex tape.
He didn't want to open it because he still loved her.
He had called Adam, wondering what to do.
Adam comes over and says, look, man, maybe opening the box will bring you closure.
Man, I don't have the nerve to do it, man. It's eating you up. Wouldn't you rather know now than later? I guess. You open it. Whatever.
With no idea of the horror that awaited, Adam began opening the package.
Huh? It's not a VCR at all.
There's a piece of plywood there.
What do you mean, man? Oh, let me see this.
Marcus pushed him out of the way to about 4 or 5 feet.
As soon as Mark lifted up the piece of plywood, that detonated the bomb.
Marcus, I'm sure, did not know what had happened. It was such a big explosion, but he took the full brunt of it, so he was killed instantly.
Why would I let him open that box?
Adam, there's no way you could have known.
He was filled with guilt, even though an explosive device inside this package was the last thing on their minds.
After hearing Adam's chilling account, detectives can't help but wonder if Lisa's been hiding something from them.
There had been no mention of an affair, identity theft, or a package, nothing, when they talked to Lisa.
Before circling back to Lisa, detectives contact Marcus's cell phone provider and recover evidence that appears to confirm Adam's story.
There are 3 voicemails. They were obviously of a threatening nature. All of them were encouraging Marcus to open up a package that was left for him.
The third voicemail was the most ominous one.
No, why don't you just open up your little gift and, take a look at what I sent you.
It was something that I'll always remember the rest of my life. Haunting words.
Hoping to identify the mystery caller, detectives bring Lisa in for a second interview.
You need to be honest with us. Were you having an affair?
There was, but it's been over for months.
Lisa tells detectives that while Marcus was a good man whom she loved deeply, after 6 years of marriage, their sex life had grown stale.
They lived a very calm and placid marital life.
She just wanted something different.
Something Lisa says she found in 29-year-old Siyanki Lalaman.
Hey, beautiful.
Hey,
Where you running from?
just headed home.
Siyanki Lalaman was a young man, 10 years younger than Lisa.
He was very well built, very muscular.
Neatly dressed, 6'3". He was a charmer.
Can I call you sometime?
Once he made that contact with her, next thing you know, here they are, they're an item.
Lisa feels like, oh my God, I am in love.
They connected and began a very heated love affair.
Okay, I gotta go.
Can't you stay a little longer, baby?
Maybe just a little bit.
Lisa tells police that while she did her best to keep the affair under wraps, in the fall of 1999, Marcus found out about it. Marcus was apparently so devastated by her infidelity, he immediately moved out.
Marcus and Lisa had separated, but she continued to see Siyanki.
She was having a good time with Siyanki.
Although Lisa says that when the excitement fizzled a few months later, she realized she'd made a terrible mistake and broke things off once and for all.
You guys still in touch?
No.
She said, I haven't heard from him in a long time.
But according to Lisa, a few months before she called off the affair, Siyanki had helped her file her taxes.
Under the guise of being someone that could do tax returns, he acquired Mr. Toney's personal information and began to open up accounts, credit cards, lines of credit, etc.
Is Lisa's ex-lover the mastermind behind both the identity theft and the bomb that killed Marcus Toney? Lisa is adamant that while Cianci is the one who stole Marcus's credit info, there's no way he's capable of murder.
She was very dismissive. She came to me and she says, you know, I can't believe this guy would do it.
Detectives aren't so sure.
We brought the tapes into the interview room with Lisa, the voicemail tapes.
And when detectives play the mysterious messages, her jaw drops.
No, why don't you just open up your little gift and, you know, take a look at what I sent you.
She said, oh, that's Cianci's voice.
Lisa appeared to be genuinely shocked to realize that her former lover was involved in Marcus's murder.
She was crying. She didn't know he would do anything like this.
However, Lisa's shock soon gives way to panic.
She was thinking, oh my God, am I next?
"24 hours after a bomb killed 37-year-old Marcus Toney, detectives have identified a suspect, his wife Lisa's former lover, 29-year-old Cianci Lalaman.
Lisa had identified Cianci as the voice behind the mysterious calls Marcus had received prior to his death.
Wrapping up their interview, detectives let Lisa go, but keep a close eye on her.
She was getting afraid and were worried that he might come back for her.
The following morning, detectives run a background check on Cianci and discover Marcus isn't the first person he's scammed.
Cianci had a history of basically conning women into financial gain on his end.
However, women weren't the only ones Cianci targeted.
Cianci Lalaman had connected with a politician who liked males, and he had sex with him a few times, and then he had it videotaped.
He sent the videotape to the man to extort him for money.
His wife's home, gets the videotape, plays it, and it goes to the FBI.
He had been convicted of extortion in 1992 and did 18 months in prison.
Between Cianci's history of fraud and Lisa's idea of the voicemails he left for Marcus, detectives are convinced that Cianci is responsible for Marcus's mountain of debt and his murder.
Cianci Lalaman knew very well that this could easily be tied back to him, and he vanished.
With Cianci nowhere to be found, detectives dig into his prior arrest record, hoping to find other individuals who might lead them to him.
We checked the arrest record, see if he was arrested with anybody, and see if we couldn't find some associates.
Detectives quickly zero in on one frequent accomplice, Frederick Beacon.
Fred Beacon was a drag performer in one of the local clubs in Chicago.
He was living as a woman and going by the name Stormy Phillips at the time.
Detectives waste no time tracking Stormy down.
We went to the club. She was getting prepared for her show.
We need to talk to you about Cianci Lalaman.
I figured that's what all this was about.
She knew she was in trouble.
She had cashed out some money, got cash advances on some of the Marcus Toney credit cards.
Although according to Stormy, she and Cianci weren't just partners in crime.
They had a romantic liaison for a while.
She explained all the past things she's done with Cianci and how he works, how he operates.
Stormy's explanation convinces detectives she's just another person he'd seduced for financial gain.
When Cianci got access to a woman's account info, he would have Stormy pose as the victim in order to make withdrawals or take out cash advances.
But can Stormy tie Cianci to Marcus's murder?
Did you ever mention anything about building a bomb?
No, not that I think he could either.
Do you have any idea where it could be?
Most anywhere. I mean, he had people all over the U.S.
She said he didn't just stay in Chicago. He has people in different states doing the fraud.
Stormy is cooperative, and detectives don't believe she had anything to do with the attack on Marcus Toney. However, her involvement in Cianci's credit card schemes allows them to arrest her for fraud.
Stormy knew what she did was wrong and agreed to testify against Cianci, assuming detectives could find him.
Over the next several months, detectives continue to search for Cianci.
We pulled out all the stops to try and find this guy. He made ATF's 10 Most Wanted, and we had his photo out there and everything. We were getting calls from women all across the country saying they knew this guy. He swindled them. He took them for a good amount of money, and it was a flood of information coming in.
Some of the tips allowed detectives to track Cianki's movements after Marcus's murder.
We were able to track Cianki Lalaman to Detroit. From Detroit, we were able to track him to Cleveland. From Cleveland, we were able to track him to Canada.
Though law enforcement is hot on his heels, Cianki always seems to be one step ahead.
This is an individual that had several different names. Being good at identity theft, he had several forms of identification, several passports. He could be anybody he wanted to. It made tracking Cianki Lalaman extremely difficult.
Finally, in May of 2000, investigators catch a much-needed break.
An informant came forward who had been in prison with Cianki. He tells detectives that Cianki befriended a young man named Jason while inside.
Jason, for whatever reason, looked up to him.
But what really intrigues detectives is why Jason Bucher was behind bars.
His record included counterfeiting and bomb making.
Had Cianki enlisted this fellow ex-con to build the bomb that killed Marcus Toney?
We were able to arrange an undercover meeting with Jason Bucher in which we had the informant record a conversation with Jason.
What's up, man? Hey, what's up, man? It's been years.
As they listen in, it's clear to investigators that Jason doesn't suspect a thing, even when the informant brings up Cianki.
He admitted that Cianki asked him to teach him how to make a bomb.
He instructed Cianki on how to put the bomb together and how to wire it so that once the box was opened, it would detonate.
Did you know he was gonna kill that dude? Nah, I mean, he never told me who it was for, but someone was gonna die, that's for sure.
He made the statement that if this package got in front of the target, that he was gonna be history.
Once Jason makes this statement, investigators move in to arrest him.
What the hell's this, man?
Let's go, put your hands up.
Where's Cianki Lalaman?
I don't know.
Really? Because you're facing some pretty serious charges if you don't.
Jason Bucher decides to cooperate with us. Jason told me Cianki has intermittently stayed in touch with him while he's been on the run. This is very important to us because this could be our link for catching Cianki Lalaman.
With Jason's cooperation, law enforcement takes over his email account and reaches out to Cianki.
I had Jason dictate to me what he would say to Cianki, that I was worried about him, anything he needed, he could still count on me.
This was a real gamble. They didn't know if he'd take the bait.
Thankfully, investigators don't have to wait long.
Within about 30 seconds, I got a reply. My heart raced, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trading emails with a murderer.
In June of 2000, 4 months after the devastating explosion that took the life of 37-year-old Marcus Toney, detectives have made contact with their prime suspect, 29-year-old Cianki Lalaman.
Detectives arrested an ex-con and old friend of Cianki's named Jason Bucher. He agreed to help them catch Cianki.
Jason built bombs and instructed Cianki on how to build a pipe bomb.
We actually sent an email from Jason to him, and then he responded to that email.
Though Cianki's reply is brief and doesn't say where he is, the short message gives detectives a starting point.
Computer experts were able to extract that URL address that's embedded in the emails. And tracking that back, they came up with an address in downtown Los Angeles. My first thoughts were glass half empty here, because it's probably some phone jack that he's using at a motel. But I called the ATF office out in Los Angeles, California. I gave him the address. I says, can you drive by this address and just see if it's an actual address? The ATF agents from Los Angeles called me back on the phone. They said it's a very well-to-do house.
A search of property records reveals that the owner is a 52-year-old TV executive named Amanda Reeves.
He had, of course, befriended another female.
She worked for a television company. She made good money. She had resources and could help pay for his lifestyle.
High likelihood that Cianki Lalaman was residing there.
ATF agents enlist the help of U.S. Marshals to stake out the home. After a few hours, a man matching Cienki's description emerges.
I remember getting a phone call from one of the marshals saying, we have a male African-American walking a dog that came out of and went into the house. And he's approximately the height of your guy.
Marshal in charge said, well, we think it might be him, but we're not sure. He doesn't look like your pictures. So basically I said, it's gotta be him. So just arrest him and we'll figure it out.
So when the man gets in his car and drives away from the house minutes later, marshals move quickly to pull him over.
Are you Cienki Lilleman?
No, sir.
All right, keep your hands where I can see him and step out of the vehicle, please.
The individual was arrested without incident.
But is this really Cienki?
It was close, but he didn't quite match the photo they had on file.
Through fingerprints, we were able to determine pretty clearly and pretty quickly that it in fact was Cienki Lilleman.
Cienki got plastic surgery to change his appearance so he couldn't be tracked down.
He had cheek implants, a chin implant, and rhinoplasty.
You could still tell it was him.
Extradited back to Chicago, Cienki agrees to cooperate with detectives.
Listen, I'll tell you everything I know. But you gotta put something on the table first.
He wanted me to know that he was going to be in control of the interview.
And according to Cienki, he had some very juicy information to offer detectives.
What did Lisa tell you?
She said she dumped you.
Nobody dumps me.
He said she had been in contact with him during the time he was a fugitive.
Cienki also claimed Lisa had been a willing accomplice in his scam to steal from her husband.
They were using his identity and using his credit in order to run up these lavish hotel bills, dinners, car rentals.
He provides her with a degree of excitement. He was able to show Lisa Toney an extravagant lifestyle that she hadn't been exposed to before.
She got greedy, though.
What do you mean?
He took Marcus for everything he was worth. Well, almost everything.
He said that Lisa said, look, there's an insurance policy. We can get more money if you kill Marcus.
It was valued at more than $50,000.
He says that this was not his plan. This was Lisa's big idea and scheme.
While Cienki claims that it was Lisa who suggested killing Marcus, he admits to coming up with the way to do it.
With the help of Jason, Cienki constructed this bomb in the kitchen of Lisa Toney's home.
But he wouldn't open it. So she told me to call him.
He said Lisa was urging him to make the calls to Marcus and taunt him like that.
The initial plan was to kill Marcus Toney and collect on his life insurance.
But according to Cienki, when Lisa filed the claim, the whole scheme hit a snag.
Lisa Toney was told that there had to be an additional investigation, that they couldn't pay out right away.
Cienki says when the insurance scam fell through, he ditched Lisa and moved on to his next mark.
He started working the hotels and the bars, looking for his next identity theft victim.
That's how we ended up with Amanda Reeves, the woman he was shacked up with in Los Angeles.
Cienki's story seems legit, but can detectives really trust this con man? Over the next several days, detectives are able to corroborate many of Cienki's claims about Lisa.
Lisa was heavily involved in the frauds and the credit card purchases. It stayed in hotels with Marcus Toney credit cards, and she introduced Lilleman, several people, as her husband, Marcus Toney, to substantiate the credit cards. So we had no doubt that she was involved in the fraud aspect itself.
But was Lisa also involved in her husband's murder? Detectives believe so. And on September 28, 2000, 7 months after the explosion that ripped through Marcus's home, detectives placed Lisa Toney under arrest.
She was charged with homicide and credit card fraud.
The family was pretty shocked to learn that she was involved.
Cienki didn't faze me because we didn't know him. We didn't have a relationship with him. We knew nothing about this man. We knew her, and we allowed her in our life. We loved her, and this is what she did to us.
While detectives have no doubt that Lisa helped Cienki steal her husband's identity and rob him of his life savings, tying her concretely to Marcus's murder will be a far more difficult task.
She simply didn't fit the profile of a criminal.
Lisa Toney did not have a violent background. She did not have a criminal record.
Lisa was really a classy lady. If you saw Lisa, you could not believe the allegations against her.
After confessing to making the pipe bomb that killed 37-year-old Marcus Toney, Sienke Lalaman has implicated Marcus's wife, Lisa Toney, as the true driving force behind the crime.
Sienke accuses Lisa of being a part of the conspiracy and almost the mastermind behind the death of Marcus.
But can prosecutors prove it when her case goes to trial in February of 2003?
We had no direct evidence, so biggest difficulty was to connect her to the plot to murder Marcus.
Prosecutors' hopes of a conviction hinge on the statements provided by Lisa's alleged lover and co-conspirator, Sienke Lalaman, at the time of his arrest.
When he initially was charged, it was a death penalty case the government was seeking. So we talked about having him cooperate in the investigation and entering an agreement where he would accept a life sentence in prison as opposed to execution. And he was willing to testify against her.
In their opening arguments, prosecutors lay out the true nature of Lisa and Sienke's relationship.
Lisa was really attracted to the fact that Sienke was lavish. I mean, he liked to buy expensive things, go expensive places.
He was the complete opposite of the hardworking, stable Marcus Toney.
So once Marcus was out of the way, she would have Sienke to herself, and she would have access to Marcus's life insurance policy and his real estate holdings.
It's a compelling argument, but prosecutors opt not to call Sienke to the stand to corroborate his statements.
Since Sienke was a confessed con man and such an unsympathetic witness, prosecutors decided it wasn't worth the risk.
He was a sociopath, is the bottom line. He had no feelings for anybody. There's definitely no remorse. His only goal was he didn't want to get the death penalty.
Instead, prosecutors try a different approach to connect Lisa to her husband's murder, her cell phone records.
We were able to figure out when key events occurred, like when the bombing components were purchased, when the voicemails were left, and we were able to tell by her cell phone records that when these things were happening, she was actually on the phone with Lalaman at each juncture. Circumstantially, we could prove she knew what was going on. The two of them had conspired together to get it accomplished.
We were able to show a 1-minute call, a 2-minute call, a 3-minute call between both of them whenever anything happened. It had something to do with the killing of Marcus Toney.
When it's their turn, Lisa's attorneys allow her to take the stand in her own defense. Under oath, Lisa insists she's only guilty of one thing: falling in love with a con man.
She admitted she did have a relationship with this Sienke Lalaman character, but everything else he did on his own.
She said he used her as a means of getting her credit card information. She was unaware that Lalaman had these plans to commit this homicide.
There were different examples from his past of women that he had been able to manipulate, that he was able to seduce and essentially kind of convince them to give him money, give him gifts, and just do favors for him.
The ones that he manipulated were possibly lonely, in their 40s and 50s.
Women that had maybe a little bit of low self-esteem, maybe thought that they weren't as attractive as they once were, and Sienke played into that and was able to get into these women and use them.
Lisa's testimony is compelling, but who will the jury believe?
Lisa Toney is found guilty of conspiring to murder her husband, Marcus Toney.
Lisa Toney was sentenced to 27 years in the federal correction penitentiary.
She needs to pay the cost for taking a person's life.
In addition to Lisa and Sienke, 3 other individuals are also sentenced for their role in the events surrounding Marcus's murder.
Jason Butcher got 15 years for helping Sienke put the bomb together.
Stormy Phillips, former lover of Sienke, got probation for credit card fraud. And the TV exec who paid for his plastic surgery did time for harboring a fugitive.
She pled guilty and received 33 months.
But it's Sienke Lalaman who receives the harshest sentence.
Sienke Lalaman got life without parole.
He will never come out of jail.
Justice was served, but did it bring any peace to the family? Probably not.
Justice may have been served, but to this day, the Toney family struggles to understand how lust and greed transformed a devoted wife into a cold-blooded killer.
I would love to one day to go see Lisa in prison and say, how's your life going? You had a good life on the outside before you went to the criminal mind and not being vicious or spiteful to her. I just want to know, how's your life? Was it worth it? But this is the end result of it. Lisa's incarcerated, Mark's in the cemetery. I just miss my brother.